There were moments in this game where it felt like I was stepping into the scene of a movie and I was exploring a living, breathing world where every detail had been meticulously placed for me to discover. I was completely and utterly immersed and under the spell of this beautiful game. And there were other times where the spell was a little bit broken. This guy's just chilling. He's just having a nap, it's fine. Bit weird. Oh dear. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, that is terrifying. As someone with a passion for single player FPS games, I'm always looking for a way to fill that void left by Valve's hatred for the number 3. And so with time, I've come to learn that I can always turn to the Metro franchise from Studio 4A Games to help quench that thirst. And as always, it doesn't disappoint. There are so many delicious details in this game to enjoy, such a rich world to explore, full of life. The vast and varied wildlife, enemies going about their day, pieces of the environment you can interact with, such as this tumbleweed you can kind of poke around for kind of no reason. This thing, I don't even know what this is. I've not seen it before, but I love it. It's just beautiful. This game features all the normal FPS embellishments such as being able to shoot rats and birds, and for me these little things are important. It's these touches that really draw me into a world. And look at this main menu, even the main menu gets me excited. You know a game is going to be good when the menu looks this awesome. All these touches in the environment come together to create a very believable world. From the way enemies don't just fight to the death, but will surrender when they realise they're on the losing side, to how flammable ammunition sets alight to a wall and affects the environment. And I never get tired of the way a corpse moves as you check it for loot. It literally never fails to amuse me. Although sometimes the way the body shifts seems a little bit off to me. But you know, you can't have everything. This game doubles down on immersion, and you could argue that at times it goes a little bit too far, making the player watch slow animations over and over again, for example when you're getting in vehicles or climbing ladders. This door here, you can't even do anything with it. It's just a pointless door. Why can I interact with this door? Nobody knows. I feel like if they just cut down these slightly, maybe just sped up the animations, for me it could have removed a lot of this frustration. But for the most part, the immersion was certainly a positive aspect of the game. In between combat, I would often find myself just simply admiring the scenery because it was so spectacular. Did you get my joke? Because of the, but it's like scenery, double meaning though, isn't it? Okay, let's move on. And this game does horror as well as any other game I've played. There are flipping bugs that crawl over your skin, mutant corpses that wake up in front of you as you get close, and there are spider creatures that are afraid of light and so will attack you from behind to avoid your flashlight. And the environment was constantly changing to keep you interested, from caves that felt like they were taken straight out of Skyrim to the vast open desertscapes that you can drive through in a buggy. And the lighting in this game alone was simply incredible and breathtaking. There were times where if I took a screenshot, you would have assumed it was a cutscene. Preparing for the next challenge around the corner was just as important as the actual combat itself. You've got to clean your weapons, craft ammunition, charge your flashlight, make sure you have enough filters for your gas mask. Although when I stumbled across the check to see if it's raining button, this seemed a little overkill to me, but you know, and if you're curious, it's to enable you to read how much time you have left on your gas mask filters. I do love the fact that the game never really pauses unless it has to, so when you're checking a map, you still feel really vulnerable. There were one or two things that let the game down a tiny bit, such as the somewhat underwhelming AI and animations. Double-sided face slap! That's what you get, son. That is how you knock someone out. Bigger drawbacks for me was that it quickly becomes clear that this game really doesn't want you to run through it. There are constant barriers and speed bumps that were a little bit unnecessary at times, but it seemed like this was the price we were paying to prioritise complete and utter immersion. There were the animations we talked about earlier, climbing ladders, getting in and out of vehicles, squeezing through gaps, and an awful lot of set pieces and cutscenes to wait through. These weren't necessarily a bad thing, but if you're a little bit less patient and you want to go in guns blazing, this could easily frustrate you. The voice acting also was sometimes a tad questionable, but I didn't feel like it detracted from the experience too much. Although the grunting, on the other hand, that the player made when he was jumping. Could we just tone this down a tad? I mean, have you heard it? It's grunt heavy is all I'm saying. A few final things I wanted to mention. It was a shame you couldn't turn off motion blur. It was a shame there was no FOV slider. And occasionally it seemed like I took full damage and it was a little bit harsh and unfair. Also, I thought QuickTime events had already been made illegal. Sure, if you want to do a quick cutscene, that's fine, but having me tap a button over and over again, it didn't do a lot for me personally. And sometimes it wasn't that clear that I wasn't meant to go in a certain direction. For example, here all of my FPS experience tells me this has got to be the way to go. It looks so enticing. I don't see any danger down there. Let's do this. Okay, let's try another way. There's so much I didn't cover today. The characters and how your relationships develop with them. I really like, for example, how you have a wife, which might seem irrelevant, but for me was a really interesting touch, something you don't see very often in video games. There's the new crafting system, the weather, the open world elements of the game. This game is freaking awesome. Possibly the best single player first person shooter I've played for years. It had me hooked, mesmerised and completely lost in the beautiful world that it had created. I give it a good out of 5. Go buy it, so long as you have a computer that's better than mine.
The air is cold and biting, the sky is bleak and white. Our prison train goes travelling swiftly through the night.
War, they received a new drug. It saved a lot of people after gas exposure and general poisoning. I'll check my mom's records and find its name. I think it was produced in Nova...
What are we even doing here? Such a shitty place. This place is bad news. Any greenhorn could get me here. What are we even doing here? Such a shitty place. This place is bad news. Any greenhorn could get me here. This is just pointless. What are we even doing here? Such a shitty place. This place